I told them I would keep it short and sweet today, so we're going to try to stick with that because it is now about dinner time and they're aware of it. So right now they're behaving, but they're starting to get restless. Um, so today I was thinking about shifting energies, and I feel like since I've done a lot of work over the past few months to try to clear my auric field and have free flowing energy, I feel like it has been impacting the environment that I'm in. And of course, it's been kind of interesting to see how that comes out because sometimes my mom would describe it as my dad kind of walks around like a bear with a sore head. And there are times he's been like extra grouchy, and I think it has to do with the disconnect of my energy from easy access. When I'm very particular about not wanting to be around anything negative, no politics, religion, anything like that that's going to take it to a heavy energy where somebody wants to argue all the time. I'm not engaging in that at all. And I frequently leave the room rather than sit there and try to contend with it because there's no point. And like I mentioned in the last video, that I had done another video the week before, and when I started to shift in a little more negative direction for myself, like my parents all at once both were calling and texting me freaking out because they thought I had a heart attack when I was out skating or whatever. It's like, no. But I kind of thought it was funny just from the standpoint of they knew where I was, and I had been doing a video. I think I got like a half an hour into it and it was just fine, and as soon as I made that shift toward focusing on the negative aspects of it, that was when I got a phone call and they were freaking out. So obviously the living environment is less than ideal at the moment, just because I don't feel like I can do what I want to do as far as like videos and all that when I'm at home. I either do them at the cemetery where I'm walking the dogs, or at the school after I've done my skate. And it's been really rainy the past couple of days, so we haven't gotten to do a whole lot of either. But I was thinking about it because when I got home today, I went to the doctor, and I came home and my mom was home and I was gone when she was there. And she's like, "Where have you been?" I was like, "The doctor?" She said, "Everything okay?" Like she just like got real hypersensitive about it. And it's like, yes. It's like, they recommend you go to the gynecologist like once a year to get checked to make sure your vaginal health is okay. So, but it was just kind of funny because it's like I'm starting to pick up on the shifts that I've made affecting others around me. And it feels like anytime I've done anything in my lifetime where I have made some kind of change, like even if it was just when I was getting ready to go to college, which wasn't my... Okay, the reason I went to college when I did was because I thought I had no other option. Because I had grown up hearing that it was my mom's biggest regret that she didn't go to college right after high school. She got married and had a couple of kids, so not that she regretted that. She always knew her lifelong dream was to be a mom, but it was always her biggest regret that she'd not gone to college. So it wasn't really an option for me to not go, like right then. And I had no idea what I wanted to do at the time. So, okay, I didn't really know who I was. I tried to have, we did some of those career counseling type things. And one guy said I should be working with kids, especially little kids. It's like, I love little kids and I have enjoyed working with them. I've enjoyed spending time with my cousins when they were younger. I worked at a daycare for a little while when I was in Alabama. And, hanging out with my niece has been pretty cool. And has come with some very good life lessons for me along this journey too. But when I got to college, it's like, this isn't what I want to go to school for. Because, I didn't really look into college that far. It was, I have to go. A career counselor talked me into wanting to work with little kids, so I was going for elementary education. So naturally, in Indiana, Ball State was the natural direction you go for that kind of thing. And at least at that time, I don't know what it is now. So that was what I did. And when I got there, I don't think I even made it there when I was like, I don't want to go be a teacher. I don't want to do that. So then it became a quest to figure out what I did want to do. I didn't really know, so I went with the couple things that I was interested in. Religious studies was one because, of course, I was into my church attendance and all that fun stuff back then. And the other one was psychology, because naturally, if I didn't understand myself, there was lots of stuff that I was catching myself doing, and it's like, where is this coming from? What is behind this? So I got motivated to study psychology for that purpose, which I think from what I've heard seems to be like a common theme for people around my age at school at that time. But it seemed like anytime I started to realize I did or didn't want to do something and started making shifts to maneuver closer to what I wanted to do, then it's like there was, it was met with some concern by my family. And I was thinking about that today, especially with the conversation with my mom. Because, seriously, I'm 40 years old. I live at home with my parents because I got divorced and had no other option but to move back home at the time. So, that's what I did. That's where I'm at now. And I'm very much trying to cooperate with the universe in getting out of there, but I haven't made it yet. But it seems like the more clarity I get about my path and what I'm supposed to be doing, the more concern people that I've always been around are starting to show. Yeah. And it's not just my parents. Like, my brothers kind of questioned me on a few things at times, and most of the time they're just like, something's happening, we don't know what. But it's uncomfortable. And, you know, I've been, you know, I'll read stuff or hear things and like the tarot and oracle cards, the readings, whatever. And I think one of the cards I pulled the other day talked about how when things start to shift in a positive direction, the ego starts to resist, because the ego fears change, and its job is to try to keep you safe and not wanting to change. And led to stagnation for a while, and I don't want to do that anymore. So, yeah. But as I've been making these changes, like, okay, last night, I actually finished a post for my blog, that I've been kind of half-assing here lately. I started it back in November when I started this whole YouTube thing, and the videos are easier to do in theory anyway, just from the standpoint of my ability to focus. On writing, I feel like it takes me a while to really get in the zone, and then when it comes to going back and editing and all that fun stuff, it becomes a whole nother thing. So last night was the first one that I posted since January, and then before that it had been like a month or so. And it's been about, I'm hoping my dogs don't go off because there's a couple people walking not too far away. But okay, obviously the videos, I'm slow to get into them, because I don't always know where I'm starting, and I've mentioned before that I think that too is part of the necessary aspect of the process, because at least when I walk the dogs beforehand or when I'm skating, I can do so with the intention of clear out whatever does not need to be said or acknowledged. Let this go in the direction that I don't know, I need to get it out of my system, maybe? I don't know, whatever. But just that there wouldn't be all the extra junk clouding my my mind and my ability to focus. So this past weekend, I actually realized that I think I'm going to pause this and go ahead and move before they get closer, because otherwise the dogs are going to go nuts here in a minute. Okay, so anyway, I had this, it was, okay, so I've been having these dreams and finding that when I refer back to them at a later date and want to remember things that happened in them, I'm finding that they are more interactive than I would have initially thought. Like, I thought a dream is a dream, you'd wake up and leave it there, right? Well, apparently not. So, here's a goof, yeah. Anyway, so I'm finding that I can like go back into them and access different pieces of information and kind of watch things shift. And what happened with the one, or this past week, when I really started tuning into this, it's like connecting with my soul family's energies, and you know, the dream area, I don't know, is kind of where it's accessible. So anyway, in the dream, I wrote about it on my blog, but I was talking to this person, like, when I had the dream originally, I got up and moved locations away from my ex, and well, my ex was the one I didn't want to be around, but everybody else in the dream I was fine with being around. It was like my soul family that I was finally connecting to, and my ex-husband was like this parasite that had latched onto my energy and, was basically trying to keep me from making the connections that I'm now making. So when I had moved to this other part in the dream, it was like when I woke up, it just, somebody had approached me wanting to talk to me, and they were upset about something, and I woke up. When I went back to it and started thinking into it, it's like, what was he trying to say? And then I got a whole lot of information that actually came up that I think is okay, this will sound weird. Why not? So I think what happens that I'm learning is I know I'm an empath, and I know because of that I am very sensitive to other people's energies and energies in the environments around me. I think part of why my purpose on this planet is that I am somebody who can take on these heavy feelings and witness them and let them be purged from my system and thus the collective system as well. And I think that's what I have always been doing in my lifetime, and that's why it seemed like everything negative was always happening to me, and there was just all this bad stuff all the time. I think it was because I was collecting the stuff that other people didn't feel, whether safe or whatever kind of way. Like, I've been picking up those feelings and energies to witness them and release them. And I am 40 years old before I figured this whole thing out. So go figure. But I mean, it makes sense about why my life has felt like a perpetual dark night of the soul for 40 years. But now that I'm realizing that I'm not alone, like, I always thought I was just on this lifelong journey by myself, and I think that's why a lot of people have so many issues with being able to confront the heavy feelings, because you have to contend with this idea that you're alone in the world, and in reality you're not. And it's been the twin flame ordeal is why I know anything that I do about my own life, even. Like, I watched this video where somebody was talking about the divine feminine will not be without a divine masculine container. And it was being, I guess, made clear to me now is that, the etheric realms, we're never alone. We he and I are very much connected and always have been. And I had to basically come to union within myself, realizing I am safe and secure in who I am myself and don't need somebody outside of me to protect me. Now that I realize this, and this has been the biggest journey in the past a few years. Here's this thing. Okay. But now that I realize that I am safe within myself, I'm able to, and I'm not alone, I'm able to explore these ideas that, I mean, are really kind of scary in a way, because if you think about it, these are the the things that people have gotten killed about or over in the past with, mental health or whatever. Realizing that there's a whole lot more going on, and it's not so scary if we're willing to do the work and actually work to make sense of what it is that's happening. And I think I'm gonna just cut that off right there, because I don't know where else that path will lead me down. Maybe I'll write another blog, or maybe I'll come back to this tomorrow. In the meantime, the children are getting restless, and I'm just gonna call it a day. So yeah. Anyway, thoughts I've been working through, I guess. Anyway, as always, I appreciate you, and I will see you the next time. Bye.